So when I moved here with my background in producing and hosting, I originally just wanted to do a podcast, just something fun for my friends and I, to actually just kind of talk about some of the issues, some of the things that we struggled with. But then I realized that there is a large group of Vietnamese living in other countries, mainly for me, living in the US, that maybe they haven't been back to Vietnam in a really long time. And they still have these very distorted image of what Vietnam is like. So through that, I was like, why don't I show them, you know?
I'm originally from Germany.
I'm from Canada.
Originally from Texas.
I'm from the US.
I have businesses, I have a house, car, and all that, you know? It's like, why did you leave all of that to come to Vietnam? But it's like more of like, I just want to leave the stress of working.
Yeah, I feel like you can customize your lifestyle here very easily. You can go as bougie as you want, or you can go as local as you want. Like it's just up to you. Yeah.
I guess a lot of people, even my friends, Việt Kiều friends back in Switzerland, they cannot imagine what a life I'm living because through internet and through films and whatnot, they kind of show a different Vietnam.
I know that some people think, okay, maybe you're a Việt Kiều, you earn more or you're rich or whatever, but for me as a Việt Kiều coming here, I've seen like some Vietnamese, living in these places and their lifestyle
Nice ass villas
and everything. I'm like, okay, like
Yeah.
no, I cannot keep up with that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
no.
not true that Việt Kiều are rich.
Yeah, I feel like Vietnam is very much like there's like a clear distinction between like super rich and like poor, and there's not really much of a middle class, I feel. Yeah. So like when you see like really, really rich Vietnamese, yeah.
You know right away.
Yeah, you know right away. They have like the fancy car, they have like the massive apartment, everything's like dripping in gold.
Exactly.
You know?
And
compared to us.
Keep in mind,
We are nothing
Yeah.
compared to
Yeah.
exactly. Keep in mind too that like their cars here are worth 3 times more.
Yep.
Like people don't realize that you can be like coming back here, it's like, oh yeah, I drive a BMW in the US. Your BMW is nothing compared to here, because here they're paying like 3 times more. And people here don't have debt. Like they're not paying with the car loan. They're not, their house isn't necessarily like mortgage, like versus, I mean, of course there's some, but versus like majority in the US is from mortgage, from loans, and like, so that's why we always have to owe something and you always have to work to pay.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why you live such a stressful life.
Hi everyone, I'm Nhi. I'm from Switzerland. I was born and I grew up there. Now I'm in Vietnam, 2.5 years in.
Hello again, this is Cassidy, aka Fale. I am from the US and I've lived here for almost 3 years.
Hi everyone, my name is Lee and I was born and raised here in Saigon, Vietnam. I moved to Australia when I was 14 years old. After living in Australia for around 12 years, I decided to move back to Vietnam and currently live my life here as an adult.
I didn't realize that there was a negative, connotation to Việt Kiều until I've noticed, some comments, right, on YouTube videos and such. And I got a comment myself, when I premiered the first episode. Somebody had said to me that, ở đây mấy bạn không phải là gì, đừng nghĩ mình là hơn ai khác, chỉ vì mình biết tiếng Anh. My friends and I have never thought we were better than the locals in any sense.
And I feel like people don't realize that, like how much Vietnam has changed, and they still think of, the third world type of Vietnam. So like, was this hard for you though? Like coming back here and like, it's so loud and all the traffic and the heat, like was that hard for you guys?
I had to adapt to it. I think it took me a few months, like 2 or 3 months to really get used to the noise and the traffic and the crowd as well. So many people,
Yeah, it took me a few months too, like, and not being able to hear like the nature and the birds. Because in Australia, like our bird is super loud, so not being able to hear that is quite hard. But you adapt, it's fine. Yeah.
If I'm walking down the street and I'm like, oh my God, this is dirty, I don't mean to be like disrespectful to anybody, but it's just something that we're not used to, because this is not what we grew up in. But maybe for the locals here, they're like thinking like, oh, we're being, stuck up. So I would really like to, to kind of connect that, right? Like get people to understand that like, no, it's just different. you know. And then on the other hand, like you have the locals, the Vietnamese here that are moving over to the U.S. and there are going to be things there that they're not used to, you know. And then the people in the U.S. should be more understanding of that, you know.
So like in D2, it's like notorious for the floods,
Flood.
right?
In Thao Dien,
In the Thao Dien area, yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally, sometimes I like literally have to like yank up my pants to like walk through, and like. But I think like it adds character to the city, right? Because now like District 2 is very modern, so it's very Western-like, I feel like, right?
Yeah.
And because we have a lot of foreigners living there.
I can see that a lot more expat live here now. When I moved, there wasn't a lot of expat living here as much. Yeah, and I just feel like it's a lot more diverse now with the community. It's very much like a melting pot here now.
I think that's also one of the main motivations for me to come to Vietnam, because you cannot really experience it if you're not living here. You know, actually my main motivation to do my own YouTube channel is to show people how life is here as a foreigner, as an expat, as a Viet Kieu. Just kind of to, in the first place, to show my family and my friends what I'm doing here, but second also to show people how Vietnam actually is.
The thing with Vietnam is that like all the business, like all the places here is always constantly changing. Like, you know, your cafe that you like, you feel in love with, it might be gone in 2 months.
That's
So
true.
enjoy as much as you can, because like things here, they change a lot.
That's true.
Yeah,
It's very dynamic.
very dynamic. So like every time you come back, like this new, like thing that you're used to completely changed.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like when we're visiting as a tourist, right, we go to only the touristy stuff. But now that we live here, we know all like the nooks and crannies and like all
Exactly.
That's why I
yeah,
love that.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
like I used to live in an alley in District 5.
That is so authentic. I love
And
that.
like, yeah, where like my neighbors, they were so loud. Like it was so hard for me to sleep. Like I literally like the first 3 months I couldn't sleep. They were loud from arguing or like playing karaoke music. And then like I had a rat. I don't know if it's one or probably multiple rats. Like every time I walk through the alley, like I would have like a stare off with the rat, you know? But yeah, like all of that stuff though, I feel like it makes it memorable, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really not like, my God, scary, you know? Just because like, I mean, like I've been to New York and there are giant rats in New York. Like, like it's really not that bad. Like, you know, like as the people say it is. And I feel like, you know, people who haven't been back here for so long, they're missing that, you know? They don't realize how much like Vietnam has grown.
So Vietnam in the early 2000s is very, I feel like it was on the way to like changing a lot, but still it was traditional in some sense. And you know, Vietnam is constantly like changing a lot. Every time when I come back for holiday, like there'll be something new. There'll be like a new building. Like when I moved, there was no Bitexco, there was no Landmark 81.
The Vietnamese people, I feel like they're very witty and very like they're able to adapt to, right, like everywhere in any situation because we still have that survival mindset.
Yes.
I think it's actually true. Before I came to Vietnam, I never knew like, or just only a few people in Switzerland who had like side businesses or something on their own. But when I came here, I realized that, oh my God, like everyone has a side business.
Everyone got a side
Everyone
hustle.
is like selling something on the side and has an actual job, or you know, like so business
Minded.
yeah, and it's so fascinating to see. And I think for Viet Kieux and foreigners as well, coming to Vietnam, it maybe gives them better opportunity to start a business, because
Or at least test or try.
exactly to try, because
Exactly.
if you fail, maybe it's not that bad.
It's
as
not
it
the end
would
of the
be
world,
at home.
you know?
Yeah, I guess.
Totally.
People used to say, oh, Vietnam is so dirty, Vietnam is like this, you know, people in Vietnam, they're not educated, they're not well-mannered, and da-da-da-da-da-da, right? But no, like we need to get rid of those, you know, that type of thinking and get past all of that, and don't generalize people. Like the generation now are not like that. They're so into like, you know, recycling and then improving the environment, and you know, they're having more of a voice now. You know, people used to think that Vietnam is, the government controls everything, so it's like hard to have human rights, right? But actually, the youth now, they're actually quite vocal, or at least they're trying, right, in the safest way that they can be. But they are speaking up, and there's medias and newspapers and this and that. Pretty much, it's not always what it seems because we're watching something from a different perspective.
I'm excited for all of our new journey.
Yes.
Cheers.